Wearing face coverings to be worn inside city facilities. However, all are welcome to wear a face covering should that make them feel more comfortable. Should health directives from the County of Santa Clara or the Center for Disease Control change, the city will comply. I'll now call to order this special meeting of the City of Campbell Civic Improvement Commission this Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 6:05. This meeting is conducted in person and via telecommunication and is compliant with the provisions of the Brown Act. A video recording of this meeting will be available on the city YouTube channel. Recording secretary, could you please call roll?
Commissioner Brock.
Here.
Commissioner Cluccio.
Here.
Commissioner Dooley.
Here.
Commissioner Russell.
Present.
Commissioner Malcolm. Vice Chair Naylor.
Here.
And Chair Yoshikawa.
Here. Thank you. Are there any announcements from the commission members? Nope. Okay. So we can move on to the approval of minutes from our last meeting on May 11th. I trust that you've all reviewed. Can I get a motion to approve the May 11th special meeting minutes?
I'll move that we approve the meeting minutes from our Thursday, May 11th, 2023 meeting.
Second. Commissioner, yeah.
Commissioner Brock.
Aye.
Commissioner Cluccio.
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell.
Aye.
Vice Chair Naylor.
Aye.
Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye. Thank you. Are there any communications from the commission members? Okay, any oral requests? Okay. Reports from representatives. I'll invite Jennifer Weeks, the county librarian, to present the county library report for the month of June. Or somebody else.
Clearly not Jennifer Weeks. My name is Steve Fitzgerald and I'm the Deputy County Librarian and I'm filling in for Jennifer this evening. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I just have one topic this evening. I wanted to discuss summer reading a little bit. Of course, that's one of our premier programs with the library and it's an effort to encourage particularly students to continue reading throughout the summer and prevent that summer slide. That being said, summer reading is not just for kids. Adults and teens can participate as well. In fact, modeling behavior is encouraged to create lifelong learners in your youngest participants. So please visit our website to join summer reading. There are prizes, events, special programs. So please don't miss out on all the fun and register as soon as possible. And that's all I have this evening. I'll turn it over to Nicole.
Thank you so much. Nicole King, the Campbell Community Librarian, come up to present the library report for the month of June.
Hello.
Hi, Nicole.
How are you? As Steve had mentioned about the summer reading program, I'll just focus a little bit on what we're doing at the Campbell Library. I included all of the programs that we're having for children's, teens, and adults. And we just actually had our first one yesterday. And we had Brian Scott, the magician. And we had 98 people show up to that. So that was really successful. And then in addition to all those programs, we're also still moving our family story time outdoors. So on Wednesday mornings, we'll do story time kind of in the courtyard by the Heritage Theater. So that's still really popular. And then also, I know you guys have heard before about our strategic plan. So I just want to talk about a couple of things that we're doing at Campbell Library. One thing we're doing is our Library in a Box program. So we support the preschools that are there on campus by giving them a box of materials every other week. And we kind of did like a soft launch because we only had a few months left before school was over. But I just wanted to share, one of the teachers sent us a picture of the kids all using the box. And then she sent us a really nice message just saying, you know, I can't thank you enough for such an amazing service to help our little children foster their love for books. And they're looking forward to starting it up again in the fall. So just to kind of give you a little update about our strategic plan. And then lastly, earlier this month at City Council, they did approve the renovation plans for the library. So we're going to be going out to bid soon. So we're excited about that. And that's all I have, but I'm happy to answer questions.
You ended with a zinger. That was a
I
good
know.
one.
Save the best for last.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I have a question. This is kind of out of left field and it's just,
Oh, no.
yeah. No, I've happened to notice lately, just all over Campbell, and I happen to live over in the San Tomas area neighborhood. But those little, I think, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah, good.
So, those little neighborhood library boxes,
Mhm.
they've seemingly made this wonderful comeback.
Mhm.
Because a lot of them especially during COVID, for whatever reason, were empty, it seemed like. But not only do they seem to be full, but I'm seeing them pop up all over the place. Do you guys track that at all or have any kind of program around
No,
that
we're
to
not.
encourage it?
No, well, yes, encourage, yes.
Yeah.
But no, we're not officially tied to any of those boxes. Those are usually just like I have them in my neighborhood too, like just private citizens that just want to do it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know there's websites where like you can register your box on it, and, and it can be on a unified map kind of thing, but it was just,
Ooh, a map would
that's
be
why,
nice.
that's why I made the out of left field comment, because I
Yeah.
didn't know if you guys did anything, but
No,
I was just curious.
not
so.
officially.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Are those the boxes that they just say share and?
Yeah, like they're
So
the
someone
little
puts it in
free
their front
libraries.
yard on like a mailbox kind of.
Oh, but on that note, we did have a very successful Friends of the Library book sale too. They made over $4,000, which is like
Oh,
a
fantastic.
lot for them. They used the square for the first time, so people could purchase with their cards. So I think that helped.
Oh, very nice.
Goodness.
But I've seen library books in the little free, like discarded books in those
Uh-huh.
little free libraries before too.
Okay.
That's great.
Yes. Oops.
Oh, yeah, so Nicole, I have a question. So it's, a lot of the language around Pride Month has become quite politicized
Mhm.
this year. And I'm wondering, have you guys experienced any pushback on that from any of your users at all?
At Campbell, personally, no. And we have displays in the library in
Yeah.
both our children's section and our adult area, but I've never experienced anything.
Gotcha.
System-wide, I mean, like, I can't think of anything major, even when I worked at Morgan Hill or Saratoga.
Cool. Awesome.
Yay.
Thanks.
Unless you wanted to say anything else. I mean, he's at administration, so he might hear more things.
So periodically we hear from patrons who have some concerns, but it has never been overly contentious. What we've found generally in our entire service area, support for that type of programming. So
Fantastic. And the magician is that the same one that was at the boogie, like?
Oh, I'm not sure if Brian was there. There are a couple kind of regulars.
Yes.
So we kind of have some regular library patrons. We usually get Brian Scott. So it could have been a different magician. I'm not sure.
The one that, yeah.
Although once you've seen it once, I kind of know everything now. So, but the kids are surprised every time. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So a couple of announcements.
Mhm.
Couple of announcements.
Went off again. There you go. Can you hear me now? You sound like the Verizon commercial. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the red means on or.
Red means on.
Yeah, red is active.
Thank
or
you.
hot.
Okay, the city clerk's office is accepting applications for the planning commission until Friday, August 11th at 5 p.m. To find out more about the position or to apply, please visit our city website at campbellca.gov. In addition, come visit the Campbell Classic Car Show sponsored by the Downtown Campbell Business Association, scheduled for Saturday, July 8th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event is a family fun event and free to the public. The City of Campbell Summer Concert Series is back. Admission is free and concerts start at 6:30 in the evening on the Orchard City Green. Bring a lawn chair and enjoy the RJ Haas Band on Thursday, July 6th, and the Joint Chiefs Band on Thursday, July 13th. For a complete listing of upcoming bands, please visit the city's website at campbellca.gov. And the Campbell Community Center pool is now open and a great way to cool off during the summer. You can also visit the city's website for more information about swim lessons and hours of operation. And finally, city offices will be closed for business on Tuesday, July 4th in observance of Independence Day. But of course, police and emergency services will remain open. And that's our update.
Great, thank you, Angelique. Okay, we can move on to, there is no new business, so unfinished business. We've got the social service subgrant award recommendations for our FY 23-24 and FY 24-25 social services subgrant funding amounts. So I'll also ask Angelique to provide the fiscal year 23-24 and 24-25 social service subgrant funding amounts report, please.
Thank you. So just as a recap, the Civic Improvement Commission is responsible for making recommendations to the City Council regarding the allocation of city social service subgrant funds to qualified applicants. As you know, we were waiting for the budget to be heard and approved by the council, and it was approved on Tuesday. We're happy to report that the council did approve adding $10,000 more to the budget for fiscal year 23-24. And that will increase the amount from $55,000 for that fiscal year to $65,000 in funding available to be dispersed to these applicants. And again, this is a recommendation that's made to the City Council. I did actually follow up with staff in terms of what the recommendation would be for the funds for fiscal year 24-25, because we can't bind future councils. And the recommendation was to maybe hold off, similar to what we did this year, instead of coming back a second time, and maybe tonight just voting on 23-24 fiscal year. Letting staff return to the council next budget cycle to ask for another 10,000, and then you could vote on that. Or alternatively, you could vote on that fiscal year tonight with a recommendation, but council wouldn't be able to approve that recommendation until next year anyways, if that makes sense. They can only approve per fiscal year, even though the program is a 2-year cycle.
So at this point, okay, we can count on the 55 for both and the extra 10 for this year. We just don't know if we're going to get the extra 10 for next year.
Correct. Well,
Okay.
no, actually, that's not correct. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You can count on the 65 for this year. They are, I think because historically they've approved 55, that's what has been put in the program, and then we go to council and ask for the approval. It's sort of a backwards way of doing it, so we try to switch it up a little bit this year, so you all weren't doing it twice, if you will. And we also asked for more funding, but they cannot bind future councils. They can only approve the budget on an annual basis. It's not a biennial budget.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, so as much as you can make a recommendation for the second fiscal year, the council cannot award that
Sure,
until
I got it now.
next year. So it really is up to you if you want to just look at one fiscal year tonight and then put the other one at bay until next year. Or you can look at both of them and you'll be looking at 65,000 for the first fiscal year and 55,000 for the second.
So in the past, when we did a 2-year cycle, the second year was just like a tentative, like, recommendation. It wasn't locked down. No, I guess not, because things have changed where we've reduced funding or. So I guess the question is, do we continue to look at this in a 2-year cycle and make, determine the recommendations for 2 years, even though the second year, the funding could change higher or lower? Or do we want to just start to take this year by year and go through this process. I know for our applicants, might be more work. And so we want to limit, they're already so busy doing all the good work that I don't want to make it, put the onus on them. But does anybody have an opinion on?
I mean, obviously, we can take care of this year, and I guess, we make a recommendation of a placeholder for next year. Just kind of, forward looking and say, assuming we get the 55.
And the application, it's a 2-year cycle for the application as well, right?
I'm not really sure why that process is done that way. I'm not aware of the budget for the city ever being a biennial process. So it's a mystery why it's done.
I can't remember either. It's always been 2 years as far as
this program.
Yeah.
But as far as the city budget, it's been an annual budget.
And I wonder why that was decided.
And
Okay.
you can certainly make a recommendation and you can assume that next year 65,000 gets approved and sort of duplicate what you do for the first year. That's entirely within your right to make that recommendation to council. I just wanted you
But
to
all
have a
we can
heads up
do is approve this year.
that they could only approve the recommendation for this year, correct?
Okay. I'm wondering if we could hear from the applicants, if that would be how difficult coming back once a year as opposed to once every 2 years, how difficult that would be for any of the applicants. Please come to the podium if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Kathy Ramos from the St. Vincent de Paul. Probably I would just submit the same thing I did this year, so it may not be all that much work unless I had to start from the beginning. And I have kind of followed the footsteps of the person who did it the last few years who really can't do that anymore. And I think ours is probably, I could probably simplify it a bit from what we've done in the past. So that might give me the opportunity to do that too.
Is it safe to assume that, as far as fundraising goes from your side, it's an ongoing thing? You folks are doing it all the time anyway.
Well, we only have 2 grants right now. So most of our fundraising is just from parishioners who give through, maybe through church bulletin or some people actually donate through their advisor-based funds.
Yeah.
But we don't do a lot of fundraising.
Okay. Well, I guess then let me rephrase it. So as far as grants are concerned, it's almost an annual thing for you folks, I would assume, for the community in general.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay.
Did I kind of cover what you were going to say? Okay, that was.
Please.
A little button.
Yeah.
Great. Georgia Basile, Directing Attorney of Senior Adults Legal Assistance. Our experience is quite different. We have 30 grants. We have less than $1 million budget. We serve the entire county, 30 grants this year. And every small city funds us, the state bar, the county. We have 3 grants. Sourcewise, the Area Agency on Aging has several grants that they give us. Most of our grants with cities are 2-year grants, either CDBG or general fund. And I think one of the reasons that happened, because I've been around for 39 years doing this, is that it's very administratively burdensome for us to have to submit. I know it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but we've got to, do the budget and pull together the narratives. and make sure we make the deadlines in case, the process changes or whatever. So actually, I can say with the exception of the city of Milpitas, we're on 2-year funding grants with many of the cities, 3 years with some, just to reduce the staff administrative time too, because it's a lot of work, I know, on Diana's part and probably the commission as well, having to review everything basically from ground zero. So most of us do appreciate not having to do this every year. But again, that's at the pleasure of the commission and certainly at the city.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
insight.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it would make the most sense for us to sort of make recommendations for the 2 years. And then if there's some drastic change that happens next year, we can revisit it then.
yeah.
We can vote on a placeholder, and even if the commission changes, they've got the guidance, and it's less work for them to do. They just are forwarding on a plan that's already been put in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. So with that, we'll need to determine our funding level. So thank goodness for the extra $10,000. That's wonderful, and I'm so happy to hear that. And we can kind of go off the assumption for our recommendations. We'll base it on 65K for both years, knowing that we might need to revise depending on the budget. So is there does anybody have any points they want to come across, like as far as, keeping the funding consistent from previous years, or changing that a little, or is anybody, I know we talked briefly, but we have FY '24. So we've had 55K for the past 4 years in a row.
Mhm.
Before that, we did have a higher amount. We did, I don't remember the exact amount, but we did get some additional funds, but the 65K is what we're working with here, So the ask from the applicants is close to 80K, so we're short by about 14.5, yeah. Mhm.
Well, there's an easy way to go about this. We go back to the 2023 levels for the first two. That just about gets us even.
Say that again?
So if we go, looking at the Catholic Charities and the Health Trust, if we go back to funding them at their previous levels, that's almost 14.5 right there.
13.5.
So we just make up another, let's see here.
And St. Lucy's and, yeah,
Cassie. Right?
yep, because they're new to this
Yeah,
process.
because they're a first timer, we could reduce
If
that,
we just reduce them by 1,000, it would be even.
then we're there.
We have 7 applicants, so.
Neither St. Lucy's or the senior adults had a huge increase request. I think it's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
We could actually be fair across the board and do like 1,000 for the first 2, even though they're asking for more than that, and then reduce the newest one by 3 instead of 1.
But there's a big jump on the health trust. I mean, I know that they're servicing so many more people, but
I would propose 14.5 for them. And so it's an increase, but not exactly what they're asking for, right? Same with Catholic Charities, I would do 7. And then it would reduce Cassie.
Does anybody remember what the percentage of Campbell people, or the number of Campbell people was for health trust?
Don't think it was huge.
What was that? Sorry?
Percentage of what was being served for Campbell by the Health Trust, by the actual city of Campbell. I don't think it was a very big number.
Jose
Yeah,
has
so
the numbers for
I
the
could
clients.
provide
Perfect.
those numbers for you guys. So the Health Trust actual Campbell clients served in fiscal year 21-22 was 28, and they're proposing to serve in fiscal year 23-24, 32 Campbell clients.
32 people,
32
individuals.
people. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a chunk. Yeah,
So it's an increase of 4 people, but a request of 4,000.
those are really good news.
Make it fair across the board because their senior adults is requesting 1,000. I think that's fair. And St. Lucy's is requesting 1,500. So to give them both 1,000 would be fair, you know. But it would reduce the final one, but this is their first request.
Look at these numbers. Think of this, just gonna go down the road. So 8, 15, 7, 4, 14, 12, 5.
But why would we only give 500 to St. Lucy's when we're giving 1,000 to everybody else?
You could change. It was just,
Right, I'm just, that's
Yeah.
right. To keep it fair.
Oh, I see, okay.
Well, if we,
Well, so with the extra 10,000, that allows us to fund Cassie at all, right? So that leaves us 2,500 to play with. That's, we just spread the 2,500 across the 6.
8, 15.
that's like the first two that was just I mean, you don't have to be 8, it could, the first one could be 7. and,
right.
You know, I mean, it's, that number added up to 65. And it gave everybody either what they asked or a little boost.
Thinking
Except the
1,000
last guy.
for everybody that's put in a request to be hired, and then the reduction would come from Cassie. Would be 7, 14.5, 7, 4, 14.5, 12, and then whatever the balance is left on that. 4.
And Cassie, the youth services, that's high school, yeah.
What was their proposal, Jose, on how many they would serve in the city of Campbell for Cassie?
so for Cassie, they served 161 Campbell clients in fiscal year 21-22, and they plan on serving 162 in fiscal year 23-24.
And actually, could you just run through the numbers of Camel clients served, refresh us on each charity? Or,
Yeah, I can go through each one.
applicant.
So for total Campbell clients served in fiscal year 21-22, there were 756 amongst all agencies. Starting with Catholic Charities, it was 408. The Health Trust had 28. Live Oak Adult Day Services had 8. Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence had 63. St. Lucie Conference Society of St. Vincent de Paul had 61. Senior Adults Legal Assistance had 27, and Cassie had 161. For proposed Campbell clients in fiscal year 23-24, It comes out to a total of 763, with Catholic Charities increasing by 4 to 412, the Health Trust increasing by 4 to 32, Live Oak decreasing 1 to 7, Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence decreasing by 3 to 60, and St. Lucie Conference Society of St. Vincent de Paul increasing by 9 to 70. Senior adults legal assistance decreasing by 7 to 20, and Cassie increasing by 1 to 162.
Thank you. So if we have,
I'll say it out loud, in terms of effectiveness of dollars per person, it kind of makes sense to fully fund Catholic Charities.
So if I may add, based on the questions that the commission asked last time, particularly around number of clients served, we did do some calculations to see if we could find some equity among the groups. The challenge was that for clients served, they were counted differently by different groups based on level of service. So some groups with higher numbers were counting phone calls and intake as service, whereas groups that were more involved with their clients and held their hand from beginning to end could be involved for several months, like
Fair enough.
Next Door or Sala,
Sure.
that were more in depth with their services and not just providing phone numbers for locations to find whatever resources were needed. So it didn't turn out to be an equitable.
Relative.
Got,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
It is
Okay.
all relative and it
Yeah,
depends on
okay.
how they define service.
Mhm. And some of the services are at a much higher level.
Correct.
Well, yeah, just like with the senior.
So- So when I think it's good to have the year over year comparison. Thank you for that, because regardless of how they're counting, my hope is that they counted the same, right, in their proposal versus how they're currently serving now. So at least that's sort of an apples to apples comparison. So we can look at the change in numbers served versus the change in the funding. And if you look at I think it's important to look at sort of the percentage of change that they're looking at too, because going from 28 to 32 is a much, higher percentage change than going from 408 to 412. So if you think about sort of appropriating the dollars in a similar way, if you looked at Catholic Charities, that's, basically only a 1% increase, 408 to 412. So I don't see how that would warrant a, almost 50% increase in funding from the council. But if you look at the Health Trust, I look at that and I think that seems pretty fair, an increase there. They're going to serve 14% more clients in Campbell than how they counted before. And so I actually would even advocate to give them a little bit more and increase that. And I would think that for the ones that are declining in service, certainly not consider an increase for them.
thank you.
But I think it almost double increase is too much for a 14% increase in population. Because they're asking for a 9.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would only do, when I was running through numbers here, I would do 16,000 for the Health Trust, which is comparable in percentage
Yeah, right.
with the service that they're increasing.
Yeah.
So if you did 16,000 there, you could do maybe a slight increase for Catholic Charities, 6,500. I mean, it's a pretty small increase, 1%.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sort of the most sense.
Then we have some that are reducing, so we have to, if we're using that same methodology, then we have to give less.
Yeah, like for example, Sala is going from 27 to 20, but is asking for $1,000 increase. To me, I would hold them flat at their 11,000 and use that 1,000 to support Cassie. Yeah, exactly.
And granted, some of these increases might, they're probably just addressing inflation and
Yes.
similar factors. So
But they're not helping.
I'm sure there's a chunk of that in there too. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think that's gonna be true for all of these.
Right.
So.
Right.
So we gotta come up with some way. We're gonna look at this in somewhat of a fair and equitable manner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I like the methodology and I agree.
So if you just sort of look at it, like if we landed at, say, 6,500 for Catholic Charities and 16,000 for the Health Trust, and then 7,000, and then 4,000, and then the 15,000 for St. Lucie, that's actually, that's a 10%. They're doing about a 10% increase, a little bit more in their service. And so that's actually pretty right aligned right there
Yeah.
at 15. And then if we put Sala at 11, how much would that leave us for Cassie? Anybody know? I think it would leave us 5.
Yeah, I think so. What numbers did you have?
I had 6,500.
48. What if we just make it 7? For even numbers. Is that okay? It's easier. What did you have for the?
That leaves them 6,500. That's not bad.
16,000.
That leaves them 6,500.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe we could give.
That leaves them 6,500.
So that, for a first time, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Well,
They're serving a lot of people.
yeah,
It is them
and
5
it is
grand.
a,
5.
I mean,
Do those 7, 5, 7,
Cassie,
7, 15, 7, 4, 15, 11, and 5.
but this is always the difficult, actually, now that we're working through it, I'm glad we're only doing this every 2 years as well. It's always so hard because, I just wish we had more budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those numbers that I put together leave them 5,500.
Mhm.
What if, and that's Sala at 11,000?
Yep.
Can we give that, can we figure out 500 from somewhere, give them 11,500? And,
Cassie 5.
well,
So just a quick note, just yesterday, I was reading about, County Supervisor Chosamidian was talking about that there's a brand new facility being built in Santa Clara County. It's one of the first brand new mental health facilities, and it's specifically for youth mental health services. So just throwing that out there that's
This is on campus.
Mhm.
It's on the-
for the schools.
It's
Yeah,
high
in the
school
high
on
schools.
campus.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
this-
and staff did a little research because Cassie is new. We wanted to get a better understanding of their sources of the current sources of financial aid, if you will, that they receive. If it's okay, Jose can present that information.
yeah, I'd love to hear that. Please do.
So currently Cassie is 85% funded through the school district. And the need for funding that Cassie is requesting 7,500 from is in regards to their fundraising. And so the funding received from the city would help aid them in their efforts to fundraise money for their organization.
Fill the 20% gap from the school district.
15%.
To fill the 15.
15%.
And is the 7,500 the actual 15% gap, or is that just a portion of it?
It's just a portion of it. It's not the full 15.
Yeah, I mean, does that cover the schools in Campbell
Mhm.
kind of thing, or?
The high schools.
Yeah.
Right, they rotate through, yeah, they rotate through the schools.
Yeah, but there's so many. Yeah.
The need is very high right now.
Mhm.
I agree with the percentage calculations, which would increase the 500 to the senior adults, which is half of their request, and then give Cassie the 5. I think that's gonna work. Yeah.
So,
I don't think that so why would you want to increase Sala? They're gonna serve like 30% fewer people in Campbell.
Well, it was a request.
So we're actually at the commission discussion. If they have questions, then they will let you know.
Did,
Is there someone?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to hear about that. Solid, yeah, thank you.
You have to open a formal.
I know you shared
You should share with us.
briefly. Yeah, yes.
I think I'm turned on. For us, what we're proposing is the baseline 20 clients. We will serve more than that possibly. We can't, as attorneys, and I can't speak for other programs, but one client in our agency does not equal another client. A restraining order case could take 50 hours in court, especially if there are continued hearings and difficulties with the defendant, I shouldn't say defendant, but the respondent appearing. Those cases are dragging on and on and on. Whereas an advice case or basically doing a advanced healthcare directive for somebody could be 2 or 3 hours. We don't pre-screen, so we have no idea. So we conservatively estimate, and our goal was 20 in the year that we served 27. So it's really hard to hear that we're cutting back when we're so booked at the senior center right now that they're asking us to add another day. So it's maybe some agencies can say with certainty, these are exactly the numbers we're going to serve. I think it's difficult for all of us because the needs vary. So you may decide whatever you want to decide, but it's really difficult to hear that we are reducing services to City of Campbell and to any other city when the need, and we've been at the senior center since January and they're already asking us to add a second day. So just wanted to comment about that because as a professional, I've been doing this over 40 years and it's just really hard to say that we are trying to reduce services and that we don't care.
So just a quick question. Can you, obviously you can't go into details about individual cases, but can you give us some sense of generally what a cross-section is like?
We're seeing more and more restraining order cases, elder abuse restraining order with parties living in our client's home. The increase started with COVID where
Sure.
family members were moving in
Yeah.
and it has continued. We're seeing more and more clients facing eviction, needing reasonable accommodations in their housing, whose housing is otherwise in jeopardy. We're lawyers. We do handhold all the way through from the basic intake that we do with the clients all the way through resolution of the case. When we run out of time or we don't have sufficient staff to handle cases, we have to turn them away. As attorneys, we can't abandon current clients to take new clients. So we have all these competing responsibilities that we have. And we don't pre-screen. So unlike other legal aid agencies where I, as a young lawyer, I did work at legal aid, they had the luxury of having units where you knew if you worked in the housing unit, you'd be dealing with evictions. If you worked in the DV unit, you knew you'd be doing restraining orders. We basically serve the full range of services. Social Security matters can take years to resolve if you're going through all of those steps and you can't abandon the client.
Right.
So while you have the one client, you can't accept new clients if you have responsibilities. So we do set our goals low, but it was 20 clients in the year that we did serve 27. And I'm sure we're going to serve many more Campbell residents now that we're back at the senior center.
Right. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do appreciate all the hard work and we know all the work that Sala does year in and year out. So that's why I really did not want to reduce. I'm just trying to, pull, scrape away a little bit so we can kind of reach the 12,000 or as close to it as possible. It sounds like the commission though everyone is kind of on the same page with reducing Cassie as a brand new applicant
First time, yeah.
and see how it,
I just given the nature of it, I would love to fund it fully.
Yeah,
Even more, but-
sure.
I think that's where we're gonna have to take our loss, yeah.
Take a chunk from,
Yeah.
I mean, it gets them in the door.
yeah,
It's still, any amount given to them is still a positive. It's not like we're turning them away.
Yeah, next door, I mean, you know, from the presentations. Yeah. It's all so important. But you know, with like Live Oak, could we, if, I don't, like I said, I don't want to reduce anybody, but you know, if we reduced Catholic Charities just a bit and the Health Trust, and then Live Oak, if we even reduce.
What do you mean? You mean reduce from the levels that
Like
they've
the
asked
seven,
for?
yeah,
Or
the
or the ones that
7,000.
I ran through?
Actually, can you run through those again?
Yes.
Because
So what I ran through was 6,500 for Catholic Charities, 16,000 for the Health Trust, 7,000 for Live Oak, 4,000 for Next Door, 15,000 St. Lucie, 11,000 for Sala, and then that leaves 5,500 for Cassie.
so yeah, if we do 4,500 for Cassie, then we can give Sala the full 12,000.
I think that is
Yeah.
fair.
I just don't, I mean, I feel like you know, the high schoolers are at such a pivotal age, but I also don't know, you know, the program well enough to, you know, it hasn't been before us until this year.
Well, it's been operating without us up
Right.
until this point, so
Right.
not that we can't help, we can just help maybe some of the requests, yeah.
Well, yeah, again, it's money they didn't have before, so it's still a positive thing.
And then that comes up to, if we did 12,000 for Sala and 4,500 for Cassie, that puts us at 65.
Yeah.
Is there any other input or discussion on that?
I have one question I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. From
Georgia.
some-
Georgia.
Georgia, one last question for you, and I really appreciate your comments. I want you to, I'm sorry if it felt like I was undermining the great work that you guys do. But I'm wondering if, and I totally understand what you're saying, sort of the breadth versus the depth of your impact, right? You might go really deep with one client, spend a lot of time with them. You might have others that are you only spending a short amount of time, so it costs less. I'm wondering could you give us a sense of, if you think about like, sort of how many hours of service are you giving to Campbell residents on a year over year? Some way we can see, right? Like have some sort of comparison of how these funds compare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that would be difficult.
Yeah, but like when we look too at the high school, if we're talking about Cassie, they're not necessarily Campbell residents. They go to school in Campbell
Right.
School District, but their boundaries too,
Yes.
doesn't mean
That could be a good
they're
reason to,
residents of Campbell. so.
yeah.
I can't give you those numbers off the top of my head.
Sure.
I mean,
Okay.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
No,
I just,
that's okay.
I can't. This isn't even funding all of our services, and this just
Right.
goes to staff time, no overhead at
Sure,
all.
sure.
But we have to use volunteer attorneys, other attorneys that are funded by other sources to provide services to Campbell. This is just helping to fill the gap. And I feel really very guilty being the only one speaking when perhaps other agencies would like to address your recommendations as well, out of fairness to having no public hearing or whatever. But off the top of my head, I can't possibly tell you. I mean, I know we deliver, probably around 4,500 to 5,000 1-hour units of legal assistance because I have to measure it for the countywide, but I could try to come up with those numbers, but it's not going to happen tonight.
No.
Sure.
Yeah. That's understandable.
Yeah.
And it, yeah. Thank you.
Is there anyone from Cassie here? I have
You have to ask a
Oh, I have to ask
specific question for
Okay.
her to reply.
could you provide us with some information about why you're requesting this funding now?
Absolutely. And for the record, and I'll fill it out afterwards, I'm Marika Sayak. I'm the Executive Director. The reason why we're requesting funding is post-pandemic, the number of students that have been increasing, that have requested services from Cassie have just increased. And I think what we're also seeing post-pandemic is it's not just students, it's parents. Our collateral requests, meaning the parent requests and consultation, have gone significantly high, sometimes up to 400%. And so the 162 that I put there, those are actual Campbell residents. And we do serve all 5 high schools that are from multiple cities. But what we did was we segregated out who were students that actually lived in Campbell. And it doesn't even include parents. So, and so that's the request. I totally understand the situation when you have a financial budget. And we are looking for additional funding through alternate ways. And we see, I just happened to stumble upon the 2-year grant. And so that's why I requested funding. But it really is trying to pull together. Just so you know, if it is a 1-year request, I probably will come back next year with increased. This year is the last year Campbell Union High School District has ARPA funding, and they're looking at a deficit. So that could mean all therapists are gone. So it just makes your job tougher. I totally get it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I work in nonprofit too, so I know it's tough. So you talked about the increase in need, but it looks like it's about flat with what from the numbers we got, 161 to 162. So is it that you're looking for this additional funding because you've got an increase somewhere else and you're kind of diverting funds from, do you know what I mean? Like you look at your whole roll-up budget, it's gotten more expensive, so there's less you can commit to the Campbell students.
So we'll manage. The 162 basically is we looked at with the schools representative, what proportion lives in Campbell. And so even though there are seniors graduating, there's a still same proportionate number that come in from Campbell. And so that's how we came up with that number. And so just making those assumptions that for every senior that graduates, there's going to be a freshman that comes in. And so whether, and similar to other nonprofits, if someone comes through our door, we're not going to say, no, we're not going to see you. We make it work. Oh.
And I'm just curious, are you affiliated at all with that new county facility? Or?
We are. Our goal, though, is that we don't send students to the county facility.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. Absolutely. And so while what we really try to do is we work with kids during the school hours if there are severe needs, and we've had to hospitalize many students already. They do go to the county facility. Our goal is to really catch them where they're at and do a lot of more preventative work before they get to the hospital.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got somebody online. Is that another? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Are there any questions for Catholic Charities? If we were to reduce the request, they'd still get more than last year, right? Or
Yeah, that's true.
the recommendation.
I haven't.
You have a,
I have it at 6,500.
so
Yeah,
it'd be a
they would. install it.
$500
$500, yeah.
increase. And I mean, I know that everyone presented, so I appreciate you coming back and presenting and filling out everything. It's just, yeah, we just wish we had more money to try and recommend for you all. I think I'm okay with the allocation that the last one that you ran through. I don't know if anybody else has questions for any of our.
No, I like the numbers that Thomas came up with.
So the last one that I ran through had Sala at the 12,000 and then 4,500 for Cassie.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then does everybody feel like this would be the recommendation for both years? Since we are gonna do, since we'll, make an assumption, knowing that it's not set in stone, but make the assumption that we can also get, we'll have to fight for the extra 10,000 again, but, happy to do that. So I don't know if anyone has any opinions on the next year, the year following, or if you want to keep the recommendations the same between the 2 years.
I agree with that.
You say same.
Mhm.
Everyone say same?
Mhm.
Okay. So any last discussion before we make a motion for the recommendations? Okay, so let me think. Can I get a motion, actually? Tom, sorry. If you,
Do we have to do it for each one or can we do the whole?
I think we could do the whole thing as long as you just give the dollar amounts for each award or
Do you want me
each
to make
recommendation,
The motion.
please.
Okay. I'd like, what do I say?
So you're gonna make a motion. You're gonna make a
Sorry,
motion.
I'm learning.
That's okay. You're gonna make a motion that the commission recommend to the city council awarding the grant funds as follows. And then
Okay.
just go down the amounts.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that the city council implement the grant awards as recommended by the Civic Improvement Commission as follows for FY '24. Catholic Charities, 6,500. The Health Trust, 16,000. Live Oak Adult Day Services, 7,000. Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence, 4,000. St. Lucie Conference Society of St. Vincent de Paul, 15,000. Seniors, Adults Legal Assistance, 12,000, and Counseling and Support Services for Youth, 4,500.
Second.
We can do the roll call. Commissioner Brockman,
Aye.
Commissioner Clucio,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Vice Chair Naylor.
Aye.
Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye.
Now, if you want to do another motion for fiscal year 25, because that covered fiscal year 24.
Yes, okay, so then I'd also like to make a motion that we extend the same recommendation for fiscal year 25. Do I need to go through and read it out? No.
I second.
Commissioner Brocker,
Aye.
Commissioner Clucio,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley.
Aye.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Vice Chair Naylor.
Aye.
And Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye. Thank you for the roll call vote. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and sorry we didn't have more to give, but thank you so much for all you do. Okay, next on the agenda is the Youth Commission joint meeting in September or October. We had did we invite them? We did invite them, I know, and obviously they're out of school at the moment. Angelique, would you like to give the update on that?
Sure. So we did reach out and learned that they preferred to attend a meeting in October. September is their first meeting and they want to use that to get up to speed.
What dates? Do they meet once a month or twice a month?
I believe it's once a month, but I'm not sure.
And, okay. Do we know the date on that? I'm just curious. Of the youth commission meeting, or would they join ours?
meeting.
Okay, so it'd be the second. I won't be at that meeting. But that's fine.
When is their September meeting? Do we know that?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
think it's actually 2 days before our September meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's the same week. I think it's Tuesday. 14th.
So yeah, the CIC meeting would be on the 14th, but they wanna,
Well, maybe I'll just drop by just to introduce and say hi. We'll see you guys next month.
okay, so when, we won't probably be able to get confirmation on that until September or August. I mean, I don't know, actually their first meeting in September, you said?
The first meeting in September, yes. I mean, we can get a message to the staff that's assigned to the commission and make sure that as soon as they come back from their summer break, they're aware of it. In fact, hopefully they can get it on their September agenda.
Yeah, that might be,
We can make that request.
that would be good. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So October 12th is a potential joint meeting with the Youth Commission. Do you have any conflicts with that?
I don't.
Okay, just because as vice chair, you'll be running the meeting, okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to sidewalk chalk art. We have, we were talking about having them at upcoming events, and so I'll open the floor for discussion on whether or not the commission wants to participate in those events. We have the car show in July and Oktoberfest coming in October 21st and 22nd. Particularly those that sit on the Explore Art subcommittee. Are there any plans to do that? Is that something the commission would like to do?
Oktoberfest, I think makes sense. Car show, that's in like a week and a half or 2 weeks. Might be kind of difficult to pull that together.
Well, and it's a bit of an unknown. It's the first one. So, well, first one done by the Chamber of Commerce or Downtown Business Owners Association. So, I mean, we have a great history of car shows in Campbell. Back when we used to do them in the 80s and 90s back at the, well, before it was the home church, there was a weekly one that was there for many years.
Do we know where the car show is taking place?
They're closing the street.
The street, and then is
Yeah,
it,
downtown, like
okay. So is it gonna be like a parade? Is there gonna be a parade of cars too, or is it just like,
just park.
just the
like
cars parked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oktoberfest is definitely a better venue for the sidewalk chalk. And even though it's kind of close, I thought we might want to involve the youth commission to kind of sort of man that process, right?
Yeah,
To
that
sort
would
of,
be good.
you know,
Oh,
to be there to help the kids and sort of make sure nothing's being drawn inappropriately,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Pour water on it.
and I'll be happy to donate chalk.
But it's
Get a
very
couple buckets of
close, when we meet with them on the 12th and then the Oktoberfest is 10 days later,
Yeah.
you know. So if in fact somebody was gonna go to their September meeting, maybe it's something that could be brought up to them at the
Oh, okay.
time to
Oh,
see if
sure.
it's something
Yeah,
they wanna
yeah, yeah.
collaborate on.
Okay.
That would be kind of cool.
We could
Because
also,
they're a great, I think they'd be a great resource for that. process.
absolutely, I agree. And perhaps we can add that when we agendize the joint meeting, we can mention that.
Yes, I've already put it in my notes. Well,
Thank you so much. Okay, so car show, nobody,
I don't know if it's gonna be a really appropriate venue for that. I mean, I know it's a family friendly
Yeah.
event, but it's not like kind of booth, you know, sort of thing, like it is a festival,
yeah,
you know. more.
but people are gonna be strolling
Yeah,
up and down the
I'm gonna
street.
scope it out. I'm gonna try and get a car rented actually.
I
So.
don't know if there's a kid area, but in the past, when we did it, I mean, I have to say, there's just as many adults drawing as
Oh, for
kids.
sure,
Yeah, for sure,
yeah.
it was just as many.
Absolutely.
But we can certainly target Oktoberfest. Are there any other, I think that's it for like downtown, besides the music and
I think in December, is that happening? The
the
Carol, the whatever. it
Carol
is.
of Lights, or it should be
I mean, that might be.
a little colder, but yeah, okay.
I might, just a side note in regards to that, the editor of the Campbell Express, or Campbell Press, excuse me, I keep on calling it Campbell Express, but anyway, might become a member of the board of the Heritage Theater. So we'll know, I'll have better access to information on things like Carol Lights and stuff like that, so.
Great. Okay, well, I think for now, we'll just, note that we'd like to have a joint meeting with the youth commission, and we'd like to have a joint event or,
Collaboration, yeah.
collaboration with them on the sidewalk chalk art at Oktoberfest, and we'll just kind of see what happens when the summer ends. Great, thank you. All right, moving on to good of the game. Do any of the commissioners have Any items for good of the game?
The Dunk tank went well for the Campbell Police Foundation at Boogie on the Avenue at the old Campbell Crew Festival. It's interesting. I didn't realize that. So Boogie or Oktoberfest is twice as big in terms of attendance as the Boogie on the Avenue. So even though they're still pretty good size. So,
Yeah, Oktoberfest is a huge draw.
yeah. So that's a great way to get the word out for all kinds of things. So.
Okay, well, if nothing else, we do have our social night out.
It's August 21st.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna remind, August 21st.
Yeah, no July and no August meeting. But our social event on the August 21st.
Yeah, so,
as well.
no, so
Oh.
we're gonna, just so I know, you weren't here, so we talked about canceling our July meeting, our regularly scheduled July meeting and our August meeting.
Yep.
And we are doing a social dinner on the 21st of August for the commission.
At Avellagio.
Is it, okay, yeah,
I think I think that's what we said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she
yeah,
already made a
Diana, she
reservation.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
oh, that's
did.
right. She
She made the
sent the
reservation.
email. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
at Bellagio. And then that we would just reconvene in September at our normal meeting, but we have changed the meeting time to 6. So,
Yeah.
just want to make sure,
Yeah,
remind everyone.
Yeah, they call me.
Okay, and that works for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So, yeah, so we will see, next time we'll be back here is September at 6 PM, right?
So
So,
what time are we meeting at on the 21st?
It said 6 PM on the email.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Sorry, I missed that.
at Bellagio, 6 PM. Okay, so let's see, subcommittee reports. I'd like to ask the various subcommittees to provide updates, and we'll start with Campbell Cares Neighborhood Refresh Project.
So I've updated the proposal and I'm ready to kind of implement an action plan. In fact, I've already put together a list of action items to move forward. Two of those items being I guess, a release form from the property owner for us to do the volunteering, and then a release form for each volunteer who's joining in the work. And then kind of, I've already started to kind of tighten up, or not tighten up, but I guess kind of redress the selection criteria. So, as I've been going back and forth about it and thinking about it, I'm thinking, really it should be open to anybody's property. I mean, in Campbell, with a preference for, elderly or fixed or limited income, and, we can easily have like a ranking criteria. So, but pull in every resource we can and talk to neighborhood associations and such to get recommendations for properties. Because, I mean, for what we're attempting to do, which is, kind of clean up front and side yards, it benefits the whole neighborhood. It makes every neighbor feel better about, and I've already kind of run some experiments a little bit with a property in my neighborhood that's kind of like known as the problem. And it was great because I was out there with my weed cutter one day, and at least 6 neighbors came out and were like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I'm on civic improvement. I'm doing this to help out the street and everything." And so many people were so excited about it. They said, "We're trying to turn this into a formal program where, a bunch of properties in town can get help like this." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." So yeah, I've updated that. I'm developing the action plan right now, and I'll get that out via email to the other commissioners. So.
Thank you. Capture Campbell.
So I shared kind of a tentative outline with my fellow group. So I have waiting on feedback from that, but it essentially outlines the duration of the the photo contest, the different criteria, age groups, along with prizes and judges and such. So I would anticipate that for our September meeting, we'll have it fully defined and we could share it. The goal is to have it start in October and in March with judging in April and awards in May.
So we'll have the fully baked plan.
Yeah. The one question I have is, if I'm not mistaken, for prizes, the city doesn't fund that, correct?
Correct,
So it has to be fundraised.
yes.
What's the city's policy as far as fundraising? I know I've done it a number of times for like soccer and Little League and stuff, like restaurant nights out, things like that. Is there any guidelines or regulations on acceptable criteria?
I think for the city, there's probably provisions around alcohol. But around alcohol. Using that as a means to raise funds, but I'd have to look at the specifics of the policy and see. I don't know off the top of my head.
Or what about having a booth at the Oktoberfest and something like, so, just for beyond prizes for that, I'm sure there's other things that we're looking to raise money for, so.
Are you asking about like if the Civic Improvement Commission purchased and manned a booth to sell things as a fundraiser for all of our projects, as a possible?
Hadn't even thought of just, it was just a,
Weren't we gonna look in, we're thinking of something else. Weren't we gonna look into, like the farmers markets? Something there, a booth or something, or?
I think that was more just for getting the word out.
Oh, you're right,
You know,
sorry. Okay.
So I just wanted to, if we're talking about fundraising, a booth, I think we would be more successful in actually raising funds if we sold something or did something as opposed to just saying, here's this, would you like to donate, because the booths do cost money, right? So you have to, you have to figure out a way to turn a profit. Even if it's just fundraising, right? We have to figure out a way to fix it.
well, who runs the booths? Isn't that our recreation department?
Well, for the
Somebody in the
farmer's
city, right?
market, there's a third party
That's
that's.
a contractor.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm talking about for like Oktoberfest.
So that's the Chamber of Commerce that does that, and they do extend
Yeah.
free booths to nonprofit groups.
Okay,
So, because the Campbell Police Foundation has one,
so yeah,
the fire department has one.
maybe we could do like a bake sale or something. I don't know that, I think you might have to be. Don't you?
No, well, okay, so county health has expanded. They're a lot more flexible on
Okay.
what you can do. Basically, they're kind of allowing home kitchen vendors now. So.
It was just a thought.
Yeah,
Just-
no, I like it.
I'm still willing to haul out all those candy machines and fill them and however many quarters we collect. I'll put that in the kitty.
Yeah.
So,
I suggest bake sale one because I have two good friends that both own their own catering businesses and cupcakes and the whole bit, so that are always eager to donate. So it's
Oh.
just something to put on the.
Well, if we could get a booth at Oktoberfest and do a bake sale, that
Get some
would,
cupcakes out there.
And then all the way down to sourdough breads and infused olive oils and the whole.
oh,
thing.
wow.
Yeah.
I like that. So that would be the Chamber of Commerce for Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So if we, we can look at that. I like that little brainstorm. Great.
It's a little easier than going knocking on doors and begging for money.
That's what we did last time. It was just hard because it was, remember right after COVID, it was just like we had all these flyers that explained it, but
And then they don't want to put them up in their windows.
yeah, it's
and
just,
they don't
they're
wanna-
like, okay, and then you have to kind of go at the right time when there's a manager there,
you
and then
gotta-
it was just a lot of going around.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes
That's kind of
to,
the
yeah,
nature of the beast, I
Yeah,
suppose.
for
But
sure.
I love the booth idea. Let's explore that a little bit and see if we can't, use that as a fundraiser. And just to give an update on Wheel Away, so the owner has retired, Rick has retired, and his daughter has taken over the business. So I will be reaching out to her for, the bike to donate for the prize, but I mean, she's very nice, so I'll give you an update.
And she's getting, and by the way, she's getting a ton of requests for donations and stuff. I know of one that the Campbell Police Foundation's working on, because we're trying to, they've got a program where they have a bait bike. Okay.
Oh, yeah, for,
for-
stealing.
Yeah, to catch bike thieves. And it's a crazy dilemma. The bike has to be expensive enough that like even over time with depreciation, it's valuable enough that they can actually arrest the person
Yeah.
over the value of the
Fun
bike.
to go find it.
It's nuts,
Exactly.
but,
Okay, so we'll keep plugging away on that.
but we, with the bake sale idea, with the fundraiser thing, that kind of opens up the doors, because we could go hit up, let's say Psycho Donuts for donations and stuff. And there's tons of bakeries in town that we could all, that could be a really interesting booth.
Mhm. Yeah, it could be. Can market it too. Well, people who want munchies.
Oh,
Food at any festival is going to get attention any way you look at it. So
Okay, great. What about Explore Art? Any updates on that?
Looking at the sidewalk talk project for now, right?
Where's it now?
Okay, okay. Great.
Once we get that one actually off the ground, then maybe we can move to something else.
Yeah. Or you can work in tandem if there's, any ideas percolating too. There's always opportunities.
Did you say you had a buckets of chop? Did you say that?
I said, I'm happy to donate it,
Because I was at,
because I think that whatever we had last is gone now, because it's been a while, right?
Big Lots had like huge,
Oh, yeah, the 5-gallon bucket of chalk.
well, yeah, they had like, it was like $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I was offering to donate
Oh,
it.
there you go.
Exactly. Figure that out. And I think we do have a little bit left over, but if not, then also we can easily fund that. Yeah.
If they've got
Personally
it
or
now, for example, I'll go swing over there and see what I can find. I'll just stock up. If all it takes is sticking it in my garage for a couple months.
Perfect.
So.
Okay, great. Anything else on the subcommittees? All right. So if there's nothing else, then I'd like to adjourn the meeting and say that this special meeting of the Civic Improvement Commission is now adjourned at 7:22. And the next Civic Improvement Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 14th at 6 p.m.